There are moments in the sky that feel almost impossible to believe. Moments when the ordinary rhythm of daylight is interrupted, when the sun begins to disappear, shadows change their shape, and the world seems to pause. In 2026, one of the most anticipated astronomical events will create exactly that feeling. Day turning into night in the middle of the day. Imagine standing beneath an open sky as daylight slowly begins to fade. At first, the change may seem almost ordinary. The sunlight becomes softer. The temperature can begin to drop. Shadows become strangely sharp and unfamiliar. Then, little by little, the darkness advances across the landscape. This is not a scene from a science fiction movie. It is the result of an extraordinary alignment between the sun, moon, and Earth. A total solar eclipse occurs when a moon passes directly between the sun and Earth and temporarily blocks the sun's bright disk. For observers located inside the narrow path of totality, daylight can transform dramatically. The sky darkens, bright stars and planets may become visible, and the sun can appear as a brilliant ring of light surrounding the dark silhouette of the moon. But the real wonder is not simply darkness. It is the sudden transformation of the entire environment. Birds may become confused by the unusual conditions. Animals can respond as though evening has arrived. The temperature may fall. The horizon can glow with strange colors as sunlight continues to illuminate areas outside the eclipse path. And above it all, the normally invisible outer atmosphere of the sun, the corona, can become visible. For a few precious minutes, something normally hidden is revealed. That is what makes a total solar eclipse so powerful. It reminds us that Earth is not isolated from the universe. Our planet is constantly moving through space, orbiting the sun while the moon orbits Earth. Most of the time, we barely notice these enormous motions. But during an eclipse, celestial mechanics. The 2026 eclipse will be especially significant because totality will cross parts of the Arctic region, Greenland, Iceland, and northern Spain, giving observers in those locations an opportunity to witness one of nature's most spectacular displays. Yet an eclipse is more than an event to photograph. It is a moment to look upward and recognize the precision of the cosmos. The moon is hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Yet from the right position, it can appear almost perfectly sized to cover the enormous disk of the sun. Think about that scale. The sun is vastly larger than the moon. But because the sun is also much farther away, both objects appear surprisingly similar in size from Earth. That remarkable cosmic coincidence allows the moon to completely cover the sun during totality. And when it happens, the experience can be deeply unsettling and beautiful at the same time. The sky does not simply become dark. It changes character. The familiar blue atmosphere disappears into an unusual twilight. The horizon may glow in multiple directions. The brightest stars and planets can emerge. The corona surrounds the moon like a delicate crown, extending millions of kilometers into space. For observers standing beneath totality, the event can last only a few minutes. But those minutes can remain unforgettable for a lifetime. That is why the 2026 solar eclipse deserves attention. It is not merely another date on an astronomical calendar. It is a rare opportunity to watch the mechanics of our solar system unfold directly above us. And perhaps the most remarkable part is this. The eclipse does not need to be spectacular because it is mysterious. It is spectacular because we understand it. Astronomers can calculate when the eclipse will begin, where totality will pass, and how long darkness will last. They can predict the moon's movement with extraordinary precision. Yet knowing exactly when it will happen does not make the experience less magical. Day turns into night. The 2026 total solar eclipse will temporarily transform daylight into darkness as the moon passes directly between the sun and Earth. Imagine standing outside in the middle of the day, surrounded by bright sunlight, when something extraordinary begins to happen. The light slowly changes. The familiar brightness of the afternoon starts fading. Shadows become unusual, and the sky takes on a strange twilight appearance. Within minutes, what was once a normal day can begin to resemble evening. This is the extraordinary experience of a total solar eclipse. During the 2026 eclipse, the moon will move directly between the sun and Earth. From locations along the narrow path of totality, the moon will gradually cover the brilliant surface of the sun. As more of the sun disappears, daylight becomes dramatically weaker. The transformation can feel almost unreal because the change happens while the surrounding landscape is still completely visible. As totality approaches, the environment can become noticeably different. Temperatures may fall, shadows can become sharper or strangely distorted, and the horizon may glow with a band of fading sunlight. Then, for a brief period, the sun's bright disk is completely hidden. At that moment, darkness can arrive in the middle of the day. The experience is powerful because it reveals that the sky above us is constantly in motion. Earth is rotating, the moon is orbiting Earth, and Earth is traveling around the sun. Most of the time, these enormous movements are invisible to us. During a total eclipse, however, their effects become directly visible. The darkness does not last forever. The moon continues moving, sunlight returns, and the ordinary day resumes. But those few minutes can create an unforgettable reminder that our planet is part of a much larger cosmic dance. The science behind the eclipse, the remarkable alignment of the sun, moon, and Earth allows the moon to cover the sun's bright disk from our perspective. The science behind the eclipse, the remarkable alignment of the sun, moon, and Earth allows the moon to cover the sun's bright disk from our perspective. A solar eclipse is one of the clearest demonstrations of how precisely the objects in our solar system move through space. What may look like a sudden disappearance of the sun is actually the result of a carefully predictable alignment between three enormous bodies: the sun, the moon, and Earth. The sun is at the center of our solar system, while Earth travels around it and the moon travels around Earth. Because the moon's orbit is tilted slightly compared with Earth's path around the sun, a solar eclipse does not happen every month. Most of the time, the moon passes above or below the sun from our perspective. Only when the geometry is just right can the moon move directly across the sun's disk. During a total solar eclipse, the moon's position is aligned so precisely that its apparent size in the sky can become large enough to completely cover the sun. This is remarkable because the sun is vastly larger than the moon. However, the sun is also much farther away from Earth. That enormous difference in distance creates a surprising visual coincidence. The two objects can appear nearly the same size in our sky. As the moon moves across the sun, observers experience different stages of the eclipse. The partial phase begins when the moon first appears to take a bite out of the sun gradually. More sunlight disappears until the moment of totality arrives. The event may seem mysterious, but its timing and path can be calculated using orbital mechanics. Scientists can predict when the eclipse will begin, where totality will occur, and how long it will last. The eclipse is therefore both a breathtaking spectacle and a powerful demonstration of the mathematical precision governing our cosmic neighborhood. A dramatic change in the sky. During totality, the sky can darken dramatically, temperatures may drop, shadows change, and stars or bright planets can become visible. As the moon moves across the face of the sun during a total solar eclipse, the entire sky can undergo a dramatic transformation. What begins as an ordinary day gradually becomes something that feels completely unfamiliar. The sunlight weakens, the colors of the landscape can change, and the temperature may begin to fall. Even the shadows around you can take on strange and unusual patterns. As the moon covers more of the sun, the environment becomes noticeably darker. This darkness is different from an ordinary sunset because it can arrive much faster and while the sun is still positioned high above the horizon. The horizon may remain illuminated in a glowing ring of twilight, even while the area directly beneath the eclipse becomes remarkably dark. One of the most fascinating changes occurs when totality begins. The brilliant surface of the sun is completely hidden by the moon, allowing the sun's faint outer atmosphere to become visible. Bright stars and planets, may also appear against the suddenly darkened sky. The atmosphere can feel surprisingly still during these moments. Some animals may respond to the darkness as though night has arrived. Birds can become quieter, while other creatures may change their normal behavior. These reactions are reminders that natural light controls many biological rhythms on Earth. For people watching from the path of totality, the experience can be difficult to describe. The landscape remains familiar, yet everything seems transformed. The most extraordinary part is how quickly normal daylight eventually returns. The moon continues along its orbit, allowing sunlight to reappear. The darkness fades, temperatures begin to recover, and the familiar blue sky returns. The sun's hidden corona, totality provides a rare opportunity to see the sun's outer atmosphere. The corona, one of the most extraordinary sights during a total solar eclipse, is something that normally remains hidden from our eyes: the sun's corona. Under ordinary conditions, the sun's brilliant surface is so bright that the much fainter outer atmosphere cannot be seen clearly. But when the moon completely blocks the sun's visible disk, the corona can suddenly emerge around it like a delicate, glowing crown. The corona is not simply a ring of light. It is the sun's extremely hot outer atmosphere, extending far into space. Its shape can change depending on the sun's activity and the complex magnetic field surrounding it. During totality, these structures may appear as pale, wispy streams reaching outward from the dark silhouette of the moon. For observers, this can be one of the most breathtaking moments of the entire eclipse. The sky becomes dark, while the corona remains visible around the moon. The contrast between the black center and the faint surrounding light creates an image that is difficult to reproduce through ordinary daytime observation. The appearance of the corona also reminds us that the sun is far more dynamic than the bright disk we see every day. Beneath that familiar light is a constantly changing environment of enormous energy, magnetic activity, and charged particles. During totality, even the brightest stars and planets may become visible, adding another layer to the experience. The sky can briefly resemble a strange combination of night and twilight, while the horizon remains illuminated by distant sunlight. The moment is brief. As soon as the moon begins moving away from the sun, the intense daylight returns and the corona disappears from view. For those few precious minutes, however, a normally invisible part of our star becomes visible, offering a rare glimpse into the extraordinary atmosphere surrounding the sun, a rare cosmic experience. The eclipse demonstrates the incredible precision of celestial motion and offers a brief but unforgettable. A total solar eclipse is more than a spectacular event in the sky. It is a rare opportunity to witness the precise movements of our solar system unfolding directly above us. For a few brief minutes, the relationship between the sun, moon, and Earth becomes visible in a way that is normally impossible to experience. Every day, Earth rotates while traveling around the sun, and the moon continuously orbits Earth. These movements are happening all the time, but they are usually invisible because they occur on enormous scales. During a total eclipse, however, the geometry becomes perfectly aligned. The moon passes between Earth and the sun, and its shadow sweeps across part of our planet. What makes the experience especially remarkable is its rarity from any single location. The moon's shadow moves across a relatively narrow path, meaning that only observers within that path can experience complete totality. For everyone else, the event may appear as a partial eclipse or may not be visible at all. This narrow path makes every total solar eclipse feel like a special appointment with the cosmos. The exact timing can be predicted years in advance, yet the experience itself remains extraordinary. When darkness arrives in the middle of the day, people are reminded that Earth is only one small world moving through a vast universe. The sun, despite being millions of kilometers away, controls the daylight surrounding us. The moon, much smaller but much closer, can briefly block that enormous star from view. Then the alignment ends. Sunlight returns, the sky brightens, and everyday life continues. But the eclipse leaves behind something more lasting than photographs. It creates a sense of wonder and perspective, a reminder that our planet is part of an immense, precisely moving cosmic system, and that sometimes the universe gives us a chance to watch that motion with our own eyes.